Welcome back to the Rural Radio Network podcast. We're talking grain bins today, not just the nuts and bolts of grain bins. We're going to get into all sorts of details, some new things coming out that we're excited to share with you here on the show. Joining me up first from Blue River Sales and Service is Mike Skeen, one of the co-owners. As we learn more about Blue River Sales and Service, you guys have been at this for a while, got a lot of years of experience under the belt.
A lot of years of experience. We've been going as Blue River Sales and Service for about four and a half years now. We do both farm and commercial. We'll do anything from repairs to all new builds.
We're going to feature, and you're a dealer for Chief Agri and feature their products. What do you like about Chief?
The biggest thing with Chief is the customer service. They're always going to be there. If we can't necessarily make it to the site, if you have a problem, they will have a rep out there as soon as possible.
Well, what's the why behind Blue River Sales and Service? What's your personal why of why you enjoy this line of work?
The diversity of what we do. It might be fixing an auger, or it might be the next day we go and we are designing a multi-million-dollar facility. No day is the same, so every day is different.
You've got multiple locations. Two of them in the state of Nebraska serve a big geographic area. Tell me about all the areas of which you'll travel and put up some new grain bins.
Yep. So our two main locations are Kearney and McCool Junction. And we will go anywhere in the Midwest, wherever our customers take us. We try to stay between 6 and 8 hours of Kearney.
Yeah.
That seems to be the most efficient, but we do travel.
You personally have about 2 decades worth of experience.
Yep.
How have you seen the industry change in just a short amount of time?
The big thing is technology. Obviously, everything keeps getting bigger and better every year. The grain bin industry, and we'll get to that here a little bit later when we bring the pros in, but you'll see that they're a lot stronger than they were back in the 80s. The material handling is way more durable, last longer, move faster. So just the growth every year.
Right now, some folks are getting into those fields, but maybe a little bit of time for others before harvest will begin. Still time to get a little free harvest maintenance on those grain bins?
Absolutely. We got crews running daily that go out, change your oil, grease, check tightness of belts, whatnot, leg belts, conveyor chain. We do that, and you're going to be money ahead, because if it's going to break down, it's going to break down on that Sunday. So,
what about post-harvest? What guys do you be thinking about?
Post-harvest, a lot of guys will do it after they get their bins cleaned out.
Sure.
Kind of put everything away, go in and just go through everything, see if there's anything, meaning missing paddles, any missing buckets, whatnot, replace belts again. Can't really do too much maintenance, right? So we will go in and do that. And then while we're there, if they want any expansion, we can talk about that at that time.
Sure.
So
when it comes to buying new grain handling facilities, new grain bins, etc., a lot of people think wintertime is the best time to do so. Then, a little less busy time for them. That makes sense.
Yep.
Winter specials coming up 2025, 2026.
They do have those out there. So the nice thing is you're going to see the better pricing this time of year, because going into winter, they got to keep the plants busy. So they're going to shoot you the best discount. Plus, normally they're not as busy, so they can get the product out, get you a better price. So
one of the things we're going to learn here shortly is about some of the different options when it comes to grain bins. Perhaps not in the market for a brand new one, but you want to maintain what you have, upgrade some of the various things. You got stair walkways. You've got some things you can do on the inside technology-wise. What are you seeing out there from a high level?
The safety, on-farm safety is becoming a big thing. And we'll hear a little bit about Chief. They came out with their sidewall stair line, which is going to be a great product. That is something that we're seeing on the farm getting to be very popular. Guys are tired of the ladder and cage. They're wanting some stairways a lot safer.
Yeah.
Same way on the roof. We're starting to see that in the peak walkarounds. A lot of guys still fill with the augers. So it's a little safer up there. And we're starting to see older bins being adapted to the newer style of stairway or roof stairs. So.
Well, on that note, let's welcome our first guest for this afternoon's program. Excuse me. Joining us here on the podcast is Keaton Friesen. He is a structural engineer manager with Chief Agri. And in particular, Keaton, we're talking about the upgrades you can make on a grain bin structure. What are you seeing come to the industry that might not have been here 10, 20 years ago?
Well, this year at Husker Harvest Days, we're debuting our new stair system on our grain bins, and the stair system is really excited about. It's unique that it's able to cross over from a farm system to adding a third rail for commercial systems, and then also inside handrail ability. We have different options for rest stops and below eave and above eave platforms. The above eave platform also has a wide landing on there as you're coming down your roof and landing on that landing. It's going to be safe and meeting the OSHA requirements for that. We also have a full line of accessories for the roof with peak walkarounds and roof stairs. And we'll be following up with stair handrail and peak handrail systems on those grain bins as well. So a lot of new accessories for the grain bin side.
Well, I imagine I'm not the only one who grew up on perhaps some rusty ladders trying to get up a grain bin. So you talk about the safety, and that is something I think we're more conscious of in this day and age. It's an important investment on the farm.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this new stair system. Being in the industry for a long time and being able to climb up on these stairs that we've designed. I really feel like they're probably the strongest, the sturdiest stairs that I've ever been on. So I'm excited to be able to bring this new product to Chief and be able to see it being in use. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of guys wanting to put this on their bin.
How easy, Keaton, is it going to be for the farmer to adapt their older bins to this new stair line?
Yeah, it should work really well. It works for, all of our Chief sizes for our wall sheets, and then our horizontal bolt pattern spacing. It works for that. So it's a matter of getting the vertical members that are going to be able to fit on each sheet. There's no drilling to fit on those horizontal seams. So it's just a matter of landing on those vertical members correctly on the sheets in the spacing. Once you got that done, you're probably 80% of the way there, and you just got to finish putting on the stringers and the steps.
Perfect. And then on the peak handrail, correct me if I'm wrong, but that will fit on any grain bin in the industry, correct?
Yep, it's designed so that it can land on the peak walkarounds. Are designed that they just make a circle at we have different options for peak ring sizes, and then you can just fit that on there and then clock it for your opening to what position you want your stairway to come down the roof.
Perfect. Chief, I know it's been a big year for them in 25. Talk a little bit about updated roof.
Yep. So Chief has recently got a new roof line, and we've been working on the roof and dialing in the design of that, being able to create new models. We have a variety of different peak diameters and peak load ratings. Also across that, we design specifically to different snow load ratings, whether you be up in Minnesota with a high snow load rating, here in Nebraska with maybe more of a medium snow load rating, and then you get down south and you start to see that load drop off. It also works well as we sell internationally at all the different locations and different loads. So really just a very full roof line offering that really has an option for just about everybody and every need, whether it be on farm with just a portable auger to landing catwalk on top of those roofs, to being able to do large facilities, commercial facilities with, being able to handle box trusses and other catwalk systems on there. So.
What's a big year, as you said, Mike, for Chief?
Very big year. The big thing, too, that I want to touch on is the stiffener splices.
Yep,
So
we've done
the new design on that.
Yep. We've done quite a bit of work on the bin line itself. We've had an improvement on the bin splices where instead of butting our splices together, we have an overlap splice. Goes together really well, efficient use of the steel and construction of the bin. With that, we've also here recently updated our sidewall bolt patterns. We've gone to a staggered pattern. In doing so, we've been able to increase the cross-sectional profile of our end connections. We've been able to reduce the amount of bolts in that connection by about 15%. So it's going to help increase the speed at which you can build a grain bin and put those sidewall sheets together. And with that overall and our like 14 gauge and heavier, we're increasing our strength by 12% strength increase on all those sheets as well. So we've done a really good job of helping reduce labor and efficiency of construction, as well as increase the strength of our sheets with this new sidewall pattern design.
Well, Keaton, we appreciate you joining us as we're broadcasting here with our podcast from Husker Harvest Days. We'll let our next guest slide in. And Mike, a question for you.
All right.
Keaton was talking about the different snow loads. How important is it to have somebody really be able to assess your needs and work with you guys, I'm sure, to do that up front?
There's a standard all across the United States, and it varies from whichever region you're in, right? So the nice thing is those guys design that behind the scenes to where we don't have to deal with it, right? We just not take it for granted, but we know it's right when we're putting that up, that it's built to that standard, kind of a peace of mind.
And our next guest joining us here on the desk now, make sure our notes are all correct. Mark Kjar is here.
That's correct, yes.
He's the general manager of agriculture for Chief. We appreciate you making time for Mike and I as we talk about what's new, the expansion in Kearney we'll talk about here in a second, but talk first about the plant and what all's involved in Kearney.
Well, in Kearney, we make all grain storage and handling equipment. Everything we ship worldwide comes out of Kearney. Employ a couple hundred people and been around for pushing 70 years.
The expansion, what all's involved?
Expansion, we just are wrapping up a 50,000 square foot expansion. The main purpose of it was to include a sidewall line, which is obviously in a grain bin. That's a key component. We'll start taking delivery next week. We have all of our certifications and approvals to move into the facility. So next week we start unloading trucks. It'll take probably 4 or 6 weeks to have it up and operating, and hopefully we'll be full speed quickly.
Be able to serve folks like Mike and other dealers even better, right?
That's exactly right. Our great dealers like Blue River, that's what drove it. We have the need for it. We'll produce better lead time product, a shorter lead time, top quality, safe for the employee. We always focus on safety internally at the plant, and it'll help with that. It's fully automated. However, it still takes a person or two to run it, but it's on-time delivery and top quality. It's all a matter of doing what we'll say we'll do, and that's competitive price, on-time delivery, top quality product.
So, Mark, with the new expansion of the sidewall line and a couple of years ago with the roof line, what is your guys' target on when we turn an order in of getting that bin shell out the door? What do you guys shoot for?
Well, currently it's about 4 weeks. That's our goal on a farm bin. Commercial projects might be a little longer just due to what's all involved. But on a farm bin, I'm a firm believer that we need to be at the 4-week or less window. And with the fully automated machine, if you happen to be on site, I'm sure it's never happened at Blue River, but in the event of it happening, running over some sidewall sheets on the job site or something of that nature, we'll have the immediate flexibility to jump in, produce a couple sheets. It's at the end of the day, my push for our team is if like I said, it probably won't happen, but if Mike would happen to damage a sidewall sheet during erection or something, he can call in an hour. We'll say, all right, come get your sheet. We want immediate response for our dealers.
And unfortunately, Bryce, that does happen.
You're telling me it's not on just other dealers? It does happen there at Blue River?
It does happen. Yes, it does.
I absolutely did not say that.
What are some upcoming expansions or what improvements that we might see as dealers, and then what we can relay to the customer? What are they going to see out of Chief in the upcoming years?
Well, we're continually trying to evolve our product, develop it. It's really customer driven. We've made a lot of changes with our roofs, our stiffeners, our sidewall packages, or how we produce the product. One other thing we're doing is we have 2 plants within Kearney, quarter mile apart. We're joining those together. We're going to be all under one roof there. Again, that'll be for better delivery. As far as new product, sorry, Mike, I can't give you all of our secrets right now.
I tried, Bryce.
It was a good effort. I'll commend you on that effort. Thank you. Well, Mark Kjar has been joining us, the general manager of Ag at Chief, learning all about that expansion. Thanks for joining us and making time for us out here at Husker Harvest Days. We'll have you slide out, bring in our next guest, which would be Martin Tubby. And before he comes over, I have another question for you, Mike. You said 4 weeks, start to finish. That's pretty impressive.
Start to finish. Now, what he didn't tell you, the biggest key in a grain bin is going to be the getting the unload there in time. That's kind of that's a outside purchase. So that's one thing that, Chief, that they can offer pretty much everything, a package deal that we need. If they do not have an unload, so we have to go to another manufacturer for that. A lot of times that is the holdup there. But yeah, we can have you a grain bin up in 4 weeks. Now, will it be operational in 4 weeks? We'll try.
Yeah.
If in the slower times, yes, we do.
Good stuff there. As I mentioned, Martin Tubby is here joining the broadcast. He's with SCGC Inc. And we're talking grain bin monitoring systems, some of the trends you're seeing out there. First, tell us about the business.
The business was established in 1982. We serve the whole country and 42 countries around the world so far. So we offer pretty much we cater to every kind of customer. So we can look at their budget. We can look at what they want to do in the future. So we can be really economical, or we can have the most high-tech, sophisticated system out there. So we are pretty much on par with our competitors. So we can offer just a regular handheld data logger that you can go to the bin, read the temperatures, read the moistures. We can do something so you can see it on your phone, log in on a computer with a username and password, and we can do full automation. We can include CO2, inventory management, pretty much anything that you would need to control all those grains in your bins.
Let's talk directly to kind of our target audience right now, a Nebraska farmer. What kind of improvements could they make on their operation by adding some grain bin monitoring?
Well, commodity prices and the lack of personnel on farms now is becoming a real approachable topic. So we can offer the guy a chance to not have to go to the bin and not have to climb the bin, and to see the inventories there on an app, on a program, on a platform, whatever he chooses. So it really comes down to what they want to achieve, what their goals are. So I mean, we really have everything to offer to anyone.
So Martin, on the farmer that has maybe an existing system or an existing set of bins there, how hard would it be to get your Tri-States grain conditioning system in their existing bins currently?
Well, first of all, we would look at their system, and if they've got any cables in there that we can actually use, and so that we can adjust to that. If there's nothing in there except just the bin, then we can offer cables for external mount, internal mount, and we can tailor make that to each individual situation.
So do the bins have to be full of grain before we can get in there, or is there any other way that we can?
Yeah, so we can have the grain bins full, so we can get in. We have to obviously tag out, make sure that there's a fresh commodity in there, so that there's no risk of anyone getting trapped in there. So we'll harness off, we do it all safely, or we can bring them in from the inside when the bin is empty too. So there are ways that we have bringing the cables up, securing them, and making the application secure.
Right. So are you seeing a lot of the cables? The cables now are pretty much all digital cables, correct, rather than the analog cables?
Correct, but we do see still a need for analog, because obviously people's budgets are different. There are certain. I tell people it's the difference between the amount of zeros on the end of the quote that dictate what they have. But digital technology is more expensive. It is more susceptible to weather. So with the analog technology, it's pretty bulletproof. So if a bin gets hit by lightning, there really isn't much to go wrong with it. Digital technology is 2-wire technology, and the sensors are very sensitive on the temperature cables and the moisture cables especially, and so they do have a habit of going out pretty hard when there's severe weather.
So if they have a software or another, say, competitor's existing grain monitoring system in their bins now, and maybe they don't like that, how hard is it to switch that over? Can your software, your programs read on?
Yeah, that's true. We do have one competitor that uses a different IP address than most of the digital technology that's available. So that's pretty tough to log into. So we do have to then switch out the cables. But the majority of our competitors, we can just plug in, and a lot of this stuff is plug and play. So we tap into the existing hardware and then just put a different software package on. and then give them the option to log in or do a full automation or whatever they choose.
You say it's just the difference, the quote of adding a few zeros at the end. No?
Well, unfortunately, it is. Yeah, it really is, because the digital technology, it's there, but it's there to make it more convenient for the customer too. I touched on earlier that there are less and less employees on farms now, and so people have too much to do, and so they need to be able to. And if they look at their phone as much as I do, it's an easy application just to look and see what the temperatures are doing, start the fans, or just observe what the fan runtime was for that particular day.
Well, one time I heard how many times the average American opens their phone, and the number was just, probably thousands of times in a day, and none of us realize that. So that's where all of us are heading, and it's neat technology to have that right in your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, then, Martin, thanks so much for joining us here. We'll have you slide out, bring in our final guest, and before we do that, Mike, back to you. Do you see most farmer clients put in some sort of grain bin monitoring if they're putting up a new bin?
Right. Yeah, we're starting to see more and more, just because of the simple fact there's a lot of money sitting in that grain bin. And, what I tell guys is it's not necessarily, it's the fire alarm, not the fire truck, but at least they know what's going on ahead of time, that they got a problem in their bin that they need to start acting. So yes, it is a very big necessity. And we see that the bigger the bins they are, the bigger necessity that is there to have.
Our final guest as part of today's podcast, Jeff Schmidt, District Sales Manager with Chief Agri. And Jeff was also the man to set a lot of this up, so thank you for doing so, being so accommodating as we got our microphones here for the podcast. We want to talk about somebody's in the market. They want to add a grain bin to their site, kind of what that process looks like from a facility layout. That's your specialty, right?
Yeah, I've been in the industry for a long time. I'm pushing 32 years in the industry, and I've worked overseas. I've worked in the States. We've built port facilities in Asia and the Pacific and the Middle East, and everything from on farm in New Zealand to, poultry farms and everything else around the world. And so now I'm back here in Nebraska and South Dakota and loving life. So yeah, as far as facility design, I love designing facilities. I love going out and getting the old scratch pad out with the farmers, and they have an idea, and I love making their ideas come true, and making their dreams come true with a little pen and paper, and then I get with the boys and they build it. It's happened.
So what do you see the biggest challenge, Jeff, of when you go to a farm of making it all come, guy wants to expand. What's the biggest challenge you find there?
One of the biggest challenges is they're trying to build around an existing facility, say grandpa built or dad built back in the 80s. And they're like, hey, how can we add on to this? And how can we add on to that? And in some cases you can, but in a lot of cases you're throwing good money after bad. You got a 2,000 bushel receiving system that was set up for a 400 bushel truck, and the old 4 or 5, 6 row heads on the combines. Now they're running 2 12-row combines and 5 semis and all these big auger wagons. And they say, well, how do we adapt this system? I said, well, we build on the other side of the road. Look, we put some beans in here, we do something different here. But, the big thing now today is 3-phase power. In some of the remote areas that we work in, you still got single phase, and there's only so much you can do with single phase. But once you got 3-phase power and stuff, you can build your bucket elevators and your receiving systems. And when I first started, 10,000 bushel an hour at a big co-op was something. Now we got farmers building 15, 20,000 bushel an hour stuff, and ethanol plants building 30 or 40,000 bushel an hour.
What are you guys seeing for new design layouts? Is it a full, complete system in this day and age with a dryer on site and a grain bin leg, or is it kind of standard, add a grain bin here or there?
I would say a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Right. It comes down to, the big thing is getting it out of the field, getting it in that bin, and then move it. So we see a lot on the receiving and the fill side. And then if we can tie in the reclaim with that big grand scheme of things, we do. But we are starting to see the younger generation that's starting out. Obviously, that's 1 bin here, 2 bins there. A lot of bins on pivot corners, stuff like that.
And Jeff, let's talk about you guys part of the process from start to finish, right?
Absolutely. We like to work together with our dealers, and I'm more than happy to go out and sit down with the farmers and say, hey, you know, what are you looking at? And we like to start right at the beginning. Say, how big a combine do you got? You got 2 machines, you got 3 machines. What are you doing? You know, let's figure out how many acres they're covering, how much time you have to do it. Because the big thing in this day and age, and every farmer will tell you, I got to keep that combine running. No matter what, the combine can't stop. And if we can build the system to keep the grain away from the combine and keep the trucks moving, everybody's happy. And
It's where the money's at harvest time. Keep those trucks moving.
absolutely.
Don't pay to have them sit. Anything else, Mike, for Jeff?
Nope. I think I'm good with everything with Jeff anyway.
Yeah, appreciate you being here.
Yeah, we can talk about on here.
And much more later. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Well, Mike, let's kind of round out our conversation. We've heard from the experts here today, start to finish, what all was involved in the process, how they play into where you guys are at Blue River Sales and Service. Let's talk through the process. Somebody needs to pick up the phone and call you is step one.
Yep, that's step one. Give us a call. Not only are we chief dealers, we do other brands. We've got the GSI, the AGI, Warrior. So we could pretty much get you whatever you need. I will tell you, they're all good companies. Some, it comes down to, we get this question all the time. Well, what's better about one than the other? And like I said at the beginning, it's customer service, right? It comes down to that for us from a dealer standpoint. Who's going to have our backs when something goes wrong? Because something will go wrong. It doesn't matter what it is. Don't matter whose product it is. Something's going to go wrong. So now which manufacturer is going to stand behind their dealers and support their dealers? And we find ourselves constantly coming back. Chief is a big one. GSI is another big one. So we like to surround ourselves with we feel we have a very good team built. Kind of expand a little bit more on what Jeff was saying on layout. Our team goes way deeper than just Chief or GSI. We have a great team of concrete guys that work with us. I got 2 or 3 different companies across the Midwest that work for us, kind of captured, so to speak. They love traveling with us. Same way with bin jackers. We got 2 or 3. So we kind of try to keep the same team moving from place to place. We don't like switching it up a lot because we know what everybody's going to do, right? So we feel that right now, moving forward for the commercial stuff, majority of the stuff we do is probably commercial. But like Jeff was saying, on farm essentially has turned to very much commercial-like, right? 10,000 bushel an hour was pretty common on farm. That would fall under a light commercial in our world. So with all that being said, I would say we do like to do the one bin here, one bin there, but it is also nice. We do a ton of elevators and co-ops, and we do full sites as well. So from start to finish.
Can you share the biggest structure you guys have done?
We just, as far as a bin goes, we put one up out for Ag Valley Co-op out in Maywood, 1.4 million bushel. So we did that. A lot of 105, 25, 26 ring bins. A lot of that 7. So that's the other thing in our world. There's sweet spots, right? We help that customer find the sweet spot where they can get the most bang for their buck. In the commercial world, 750,000 is what we have found has been a very good sweet spot for them. Being able to maintain the quality of grain, but yet still put a lot of bushels in one spot, right?
You mentioned this earlier, but let's wrap up with it. The geographic area you serve.
So we will go out of Kearney and McCool Junction. We will go all of Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Iowa, Missouri, South Dakota. We will go up to 8 hours. Depending on where the customer takes us, we'll go. We'll look at everything if we can, right? But we do a ton right here in central Nebraska.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Anything else on your mind you want to share?
I think we're good.
Look you guys up. Get the process started.
Bryce, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. Mike Skeen with Blue River Sales and Service, our guest on today's Rural Radio Network podcast.